Call me basic if you want, but I love the battle between Goku and Frieza in the Namek saga. It's one of, if not my favorite fights in all of Dragon Ball. The two strongest fighters locked in battle as the planet dies around them. What can I say? That's just simply awesome. So when Bandai revealed their SH Figuarts Goku based specifically on this fight, I was extremely excited. It was a guaranteed pre-order from me, and after that I waited in anticipation for Frieza to be revealed, and then he was! As a premium Bandai exclusive. Great! In the end, I ended up getting it from a different store, but yeesh, what an increase in price. But hey, I do have them now, so why don't we take a look and see how they ended up. Getting these guys out of their packaging for the first time was quite an eye-opener for me, at least in regards to how the sculpting was done on previous SH Figuarts figures. To better explain this, let's take a look at the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku. Now, this is not a bad figure, not in the slightest, but when you look at the sculpting and overall aesthetic, it sort of feels nondescript, evergreen. The design doesn't really take any cues or flourishes from either the manga or anime, resulting in a figure that does look like Goku, but also feels slightly off in some way. Now, to be clear, this isn't the case on every single older release, but some of them do have this, and it's especially prominent with the Gokus. That is not the case with this Goku, both in the face, which we'll get to later, and the body proportions. This bulky, super muscular body is a dead ringer for how Goku looked during the tail end of the Namek saga, with the giant shoulders and biceps as well as the giant pronounced chest. Alongside all of the great musculature, the body is also covered and sculpted in scrapes and cuts, which don't look too bad, but are maybe just a bit too subtle for my liking. I think adding in painted bruises and cut marks as well would have really helped here. Speaking of paint, I love the bright orange of Goku's tattered gi. By the way, the gi's sculpting has this subtle flow to it. Really helps him look striking without being overdone. His hair also has some nice dry brushing on it, but not every bit of paint on this figure is perfect, which brings us to the chest. As you can see here, the chest does not match with the arms or abs, being a slightly brighter skin tone. Doesn't look great, but to be fair, this is under my much harsher lights. In normal lighting, while it may be somewhat noticeable if you're looking closely, it doesn't look nearly as bad. As for Frieza, he's also looking really sharp. Once again, this is a dead ringer for how he looked during the final battle, although unlike Goku, this doesn't really surprise me as much, since barring a brief appearance in Super, this is the only time we've ever seen Frieza use this form. Just like Goku, the muscles and battle damage have been nicely sculpted, but just like Goku, it would really benefit from having painted in cuts and bruises. There's also some nice dry brushing around the body to help give some definition, lovely stuff. Now, Frieza doesn't have any color matching issues like Goku does, but what he does have is gapping issues. Not with the shoulders or neck, mind you, those are fairly acceptable in my book. No, what I'm talking about is that. Turning the waist reveals quite the ugly gap, showing off all of the inner workings. Thankfully, this only happens when you turn the waist to the extreme. On smaller rotations, it looks perfectly fine, so just be a bit careful here and there and you should have no problem. So overall, while they do have some minor blemishes, Goku and Frieza on the whole look great. And of course, like with any SH Figuarts figure, these two come with a lot of accessories. Both figures come with a great assortment of hands. I won't bore you with going over each pair, they're all variations of fighting stances or ki blasts, alongside the fists the two already have on them. There is one pair though I should go into detail with. See, these hands here have a peg in them, which is for this Kamehameha effect part. You only need one to hold it, and once it's all put together, it does look quite nice. Frieza, meanwhile, has his Death Saucers, which plug into the holes in his pair of adjacent hands. Or at least they would. After doing it the first time, the pegs got stuck inside the hands. Not a big deal though, since it doesn't hinder the functionality at all, and just like the Kamehameha, it looks really nice once it's all set up. And of course, these two come with plenty of alternate faces. Goku's default is this stern face, which looks great. Alongside this, you also get smirking, angry, and screaming faces, all of which look just as good as the default one. There's also an alternate windswept hair piece, looks lovely, but that's not all, as you also get an entirely different head with Goku's hair fully swept upwards for powering up or blasting poses. This is a fantastic range of accessories. Not only do they all look great and are easy to use, but they give a great amount of variety to how you want to display it. So let's move on to articulation, which I must say is quite great. You see it? What? What's wrong? Oh, you want to see Frieza's alternate head swapped in? Well, I mean, that's fair. I did it with Goku, so, I should do the same thing here, right? That's the proper review process, just swapping in heads and putting them back. Yeah, that's... Okay, so to swap Frieza's head, all you need to do is remove it from the dumbbell joint, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's a good way to do it. Goku's hair swap is the exact same thing. However, when I tried to swap Frieza's head the first time, the head didn't come off the dumbbell joint. Instead, the joint itself came out of the neck. Wouldn't be notable if it weren't for the fact that it happened over, and over, and over, and over, and over again. Not only that, but I had the dumbbell joint fall out of both the neck and the head. Hell, I didn't even have that happen once, I had it happen twice! I want you to imagine me, in my bathroom, having to heat up Frieza with a hairdryer so the plastic was soft enough that I could put the dumbbell joint back in place, just to get an idea of how frustrated I was.
I said imagine, we don't need to show them.
Thankfully though, this only seems to have been a problem for me. I haven't seen any other reviewers have this problem, barring this one guy who had the neck pop off. And as I've spent more time with the figure, I have had a much easier time getting the head off the joint. I don't know why it's become easier now, maybe it's gotten a bit looser, I don't know. But it has, so I'm not going to complain. With that crisis now averted, I can properly appreciate how good Frieza's head sculpts are. While I do love the smug dickhead smirk he has here, I think I prefer the angry heads far more, especially the screaming head. Frieza also comes with alternate feet parts, which is easy enough to swap out. The left ankle joint is a bit loose on my copy, but the feet stay on well enough, and he still stands perfectly fine. He also comes with another face for Goku, of him getting hit directly in said face. This is something Bandai's been doing more with their recent releases, packing accessories for one figure and another, usually so the former can be much cheaper. Not sure if I'm fully on board with the idea, but if nothing else, it is a nice looking face sculpt. But getting back to what I was saying, the accessories are great. They look good, there's a great amount of variety, and barring my issues with the head, are easy to use. So how do these guys fare in terms of articulation? Pretty damn great, to be honest. Frieza can do pretty much everything the previous version of Final Form Frieza could do. I do wish that they were willing to make the tail ball-jointed rather than just being a hinge and swivel, but it works well enough, and you'll have no problem getting him into nice poses. Goku, though, has actually seen some improvements done. The previous Goku figures weren't bad articulation-wise at all, but they did have some limitations. Specifically, the ab crunch just didn't have very much range, which has been rectified with the new version, getting a far deeper crunch. The range of articulation overall has actually been increased. Not as substantially as the ab crunch, but you do get more than what you had previously. So any poses the previous Gokus could do, this guy can do, plus a little bit extra. Size comparison time. Frieza sits at about 12.5 centimeters, while Goku is at 13 centimeters to the top of his head and a little over 17 centimeters to the top of his hair. They'll fit in just fine with the rest of the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball line, but interestingly, Goku's head seems to be a little lower on the neck than the other versions, making him ever so slightly shorter, though this won't really be noticeable unless you're standing them straight up right next to each other. Outside of my initial issues with swapping Frieza's head, these guys have been a blast to handle. If you're a big fan of the Namek saga, these are an easy pickup, although that may be an issue in regards to Frieza. Goku was a retail release, so getting him should be no problem, but Frieza was a premium Bandai exclusive, and since that's now over, getting him from other stores or the secondhand market is going to cost quite a bit. If you can handle paying that much, then go right ahead. But if it's giving you pause, then watch some more reviews and think it over a bit more. But that's all I've got to say about these guys. What do you think about them? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.